Everything changed the moment Wednesday realized the truth. What we thought was the end of the mystery was only the beginning of something far more sinister. The final moments of Part 2 flipped the story upside down, leaving fans with more questions than answers. Who can Wednesday really trust? And what does this ending mean for Nevermore Academy? Let's break down the shocking finale of Wednesday Season 2 Part 2, piece by piece, and uncover the meaning hidden within the chaos. To fully understand the ending of Part 2, we need to rewind and carefully retrace the path that got us there. The second half of Season 2 wasted no time in raising the stakes. From the very first scene, it was clear that Wednesday's world was becoming darker, more dangerous, and more personal than ever before. Every step she took seemed to pull her deeper into a web of lies and secrets that stretched far beyond the walls of Nevermore Academy. The biggest turning point came when Wednesday uncovered that the attacks haunting Nevermore weren't random at all. Each one was connected carefully, designed to expose the Academy's deepest flaws. It wasn't just about monsters or supernatural threats anymore. This was about betrayal from within. The sense of paranoia grew stronger with every episode. Wednesday, who already struggled with trust, now found herself questioning even those closest to her. Enid's transformation into a more confident and fearless character was another major highlight in Part 2. Her bond with Wednesday, once fragile and uncertain, became one of the emotional backbones of the season. Enid was no longer just the cheerful roommate who balanced out Wednesday's darkness. She was stepping into her own power, showing that she too could face down the dangers threatening them all. But even as she grew, Enid's loyalty was tested. At one point, Wednesday's suspicion nearly drove a wedge between them, proving how fragile trust really was inside Nevermore. Xavier's arc was just as important. His struggle to earn Wednesday's trust after the events of Season 1 added another layer of tension. He wanted to help her, to prove his loyalty, but Wednesday's sharp instincts and guarded heart often pushed him away. This tension set the stage for a heartbreaking dilemma later, where Xavier's role in the final confrontation became a turning point for both his character and Wednesday's choices. Meanwhile, Bianca's presence continued to stir unease. Her sharp intelligence and mysterious background made her one of the most intriguing figures in Part 2. She was both ally and rival, someone who seemed to always know more than she revealed. Her involvement in the unfolding mystery added layers of depth to the story, especially as we learned more about her complicated family ties and the secrets she carried. But perhaps the most chilling thread weaving through Part 2 was Wednesday's connection to her family, particularly her mother Morticia. At first, Morticia's appearances seemed supportive, even protective. Yet, as Wednesday uncovered more of the truth, it became clear that her mother's past was tangled with the events plaguing Nevermore. These revelations pushed Wednesday into a moral conflict. Should she embrace her family's legacy, no matter how dark, or carve out a path that was entirely her own? All of these storylines came together in the build-up to the finale. The shadowy figure orchestrating the attacks was finally unmasked, but not before a series of betrayals ripped through the core of Wednesday's world. Friends became suspects. Allies revealed hidden motives, and enemies appeared closer than ever before. By the time the last act began, the tension was unbearable. Wednesday stood at the center of a storm, forced to make choices that would define not just her fate, but the future of Nevermore Academy itself. This recap sets the stage for why the ending hit so hard. Every character had been pushed to their breaking point, every secret had been dragged into the light, and every bond had been tested. By the time the final confrontation arrived, the audience knew one thing for certain: nothing in Wednesday's world would ever be the same again. The climax of Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 wasn't just a showdown, it was the unraveling of everything we thought we knew. The final confrontation began with tension simmering beneath the surface, the air thick with suspicion and betrayal. Wednesday had pieced together fragments of the puzzle, but the truth still felt like a shadow moving just out of reach. When the final pieces fell into place, the entire mystery of Nevermore came crashing down, and what emerged was darker and more personal than anyone expected. the central moment revolved around Wednesday discovering that the true villain had been hiding in plain sight all along. What made this revelation so shocking was not just the identity of the mastermind, but the way they had manipulated every event leading up to the finale. The attacks, the betrayals, the rising paranoia, each had been carefully planted to corner Wednesday, to test her resolve and to push her closer to a breaking point. This wasn't just about power or revenge. It was about control. Someone wanted to shape Wednesday into something else, something she had fought against becoming all. Season, the final confrontation unfolded inside the old Gothic heart of Nevermore Academy, a location heavy with history and symbolism. This wasn't a random battleground, it was a place tied to Wednesday's family legacy, where the walls seemed to whisper with the memories of the Adams line. As torches flickered and shadows danced across stone walls, the scene felt like a Gothic nightmare brought to life. The villain's motives were finally laid bare. The chaos wasn't simply about Nevermore, but about the Adams name itself. They believed that Wednesday was destined to embrace the darkness fully, to abandon her moral line and take her place as a figure of fear rather than resistance. This is where Wednesday's growth came into focus. Throughout Part 2, she had been walking a razor's edge between cold calculation and fragile vulnerability. In this moment, her choices mattered more than ever. The villain's taunts echoed through the hall, claims that Wednesday's friends were weak, her alliances temporary, her independence her only true weapon. Yet, instead of giving in to isolation, Wednesday did something that proved just how far she had come. She trusted. She allowed Enid, Xavier, and Bianca to stand beside her, not as pawns but as equals in the fight. This moment wasn't just about defeating an enemy, it was about Wednesday embracing the strength of connection, something she had always resisted. The battle itself was brutal and symbolic. Enid's transformation into her werewolf form showed how much she had grown since Season 1, becoming the protector rather than the protected. Xavier's skills, once doubted and dismissed, became crucial in breaking through the villain's carefully constructed defenses. Bianca, ever the strategist, played a role that no one else could, using her intelligence and cunning to exploit the one weakness the enemy never saw coming. And through it all, Wednesday was the unshakable center, wielding not just sharp words and cold determination, but the emotional strength she had built over the course of the season. But the fight wasn't without cost. Sacrifices were made, both literal and emotional. Wednesday faced a devastating choice: protect her friends or claim victory at all costs. In the end, she chose a path that was uniquely hers, ruthless enough to stop the threat, but merciful enough to preserve her humanity. This balance between light and dark, between coldness and connection, defined her character arc and gave the finale its emotional punch. When the dust settled, the villain lay defeated, but their words lingered in the air like poison. Wednesday had won the battle, but the seeds of doubt were planted deep. Could she truly escape the destiny others had written for her? Or was she simply delaying the inevitable? The final confrontation may have ended with victory, but it also left behind scars that would shape Wednesday's path moving forward. This ending wasn't just about action or spectacle. It was about testing Wednesday's identity, tearing down the walls she built around herself, and forcing her to confront the one thing she feared most, her own reflection. The final battle revealed not just who the villain was, but who Wednesday might become if she ever gave in to the darkness. And that is what makes this climax so unforgettable. Just when we thought the nightmare had ended, Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 delivered a final twist that no one saw coming. It wasn't the villain's defeat that left viewers speechless. It was what happened after, in the quiet moments when Wednesday stood among the ruins of Nevermore's darkest battle. Because hidden beneath the ashes was a revelation that rewrote everything we thought we understood about her story. The twist revealed that Wednesday's connection to the chaos wasn't just as a victim or a heroine. From the very beginning, the villain had been manipulating events to mirror Wednesday's own journey, almost as though they were shaping her destiny piece by piece. And here's where the shock hit hardest. The person pulling the strings wasn't acting alone. There was a hidden hand guiding the entire season, one that tied directly back to Wednesday's family legacy. A legacy that Wednesday had been resisting since the start. This moment forced fans to look back and reconsider every subtle clue scattered throughout the season. Small remarks from Morticia about embracing who you are. The cryptic warnings that Nevermore's history was repeating itself. Even Wednesday's own dreams and visions, which seemed random at first, were actually fragments of the bigger picture. The twist revealed that Wednesday wasn't just solving a mystery, she was the mystery. The events around her weren't coincidences. They were orchestrated, designed to force her closer to a path of darkness she had sworn to avoid, and the meaning behind this twist goes far deeper than shock value. It highlights one of the central themes of the show: identity versus destiny. Can Wednesday truly choose who she becomes, or is she doomed to repeat the sins of her family's past? This is where the storytelling brilliance shines through. Because while the villain's defeat closed one chapter, the twist opened an entirely new one. Instead of a happy resolution, we were left with a chilling question. Is Wednesday slowly becoming the very thing she's fighting against? The symbolism of this twist is impossible to ignore. The broken mirrors scattered in the finale's closing scenes weren't just a gothic detail, they represented the fractured nature of Wednesday's identity. Each reflection showed a slightly different version of her: the daughter of Morticia, the student of Nevermore, the reluctant hero, and the possible monster. The question is, which reflection will she embrace as her true self? But what makes this twist even more powerful is how it impacts the relationships around Wednesday. Enid, who had fought so hard to stand by her, now finds herself questioning if Wednesday can truly be trusted. Xavier, who risked everything to prove his loyalty, wonders if Wednesday's darkness is something he can even stand beside. And Bianca, ever calculating, seems to recognize this shift as both a danger and an opportunity. The twist didn't just change Wednesday, it rippled outward, shaking the foundation of every character tied to her, perhaps. The most chilling part of this revelation is how it reframed Morticia's role. What seemed like motherly guidance now feels like foreshadowing of something far more deliberate. Was Morticia preparing Wednesday to face her fate, or was she quietly nudging her toward it? The twist suggests that Morticia knows more than she has revealed, and that the Addams family's influence runs deeper into Nevermore's mysteries than anyone suspected. And yet, despite the heaviness of this revelation, there's a strange sense of hope buried within it. Because Wednesday, unlike the generations before her, refuses to be a puppet. Her rejection of the villain's manipulation shows that she may have the strength to break free from the cycle. The twist doesn't lock her into her destiny, it dares her to fight against it. That's what makes this ending so rich. It leaves us torn between dread and hope. Between fear of what Wednesday could become and excitement for the battles still ahead. As the screen faded to black, fans were left in stunned silence. The villain may have fallen, but the true enemy now seemed much closer, perhaps even inside Wednesday herself. The shocking twist wasn't just a plot device. It was a mirror held up to the character, reflecting the one truth she cannot escape. The greatest threat to Wednesday Addams might just be Wednesday herself. When the dust finally settled after the chaos of Part 2's finale, the question wasn't just who won, it was who changed. The ending wasn't only about defeating the villain. It was about how each character walked away scarred, strengthened, or still uncertain about where they truly belonged. And it's here that Wednesday Season 2 did something brilliant. Instead of neatly tying up everyone's story, it left arcs cracked open like shattered glass, begging to be explored in the future. Let's begin with Wednesday herself. From the very start of the season, she was determined to remain detached, cold, calculating, and immune to sentiment. But by the finale, she had been forced to rely on trust, loyalty, and emotional connection in ways she never imagined. Her arc was less about discovering the truth of the mystery and more about discovering herself. The shocking twist proved that Wednesday is walking a dangerous line, torn between the darkness in her bloodline and the humanity in her heart. But while the battle was won, her arc is far from complete. she ends the season standing alone in the ruins, not because she rejects her friends, but because she fears what she could become. Wednesday's story was resolved enough to feel satisfying, but cracked just enough to hint at the storm still brewing inside her. Enid's arc, however, gave us one of the most emotional payoffs in the season. In part 1, she was still seen as the cheerful roommate trying to balance out Wednesday's gloom. But in part 2, Enid finally grew into her own identity, embracing the Volf inside her and standing tall in the battle's final moments. Her transformation wasn't just physical, it was symbolic of her stepping out of the shadows. She proved that she wasn't there to support Wednesday's journey. She was carving her own. And yet, even with this growth, her loyalty to Wednesday was tested in heartbreaking ways. The finale left her torn. Should she continue standing by someone who might be destined for darkness, or protect herself from the pain of betrayal? Enid's arc closed with strength but also uncertainty, setting her up for bigger challenges ahead. Xavier's journey was all about trust and redemption. After being falsely suspected in Season 1, Part 2 showed him working tirelessly to regain Wednesday's confidence. He fought for her, stood by her, and ultimately proved that his loyalty was real. But Xavier's arc didn't end in triumph. It ended in hesitation. Watching Wednesday embrace darker parts of herself made him question whether their bond could survive what was coming. He may have earned her trust in the battle, but the closing scenes hinted at a growing distance between them. His arc, like Wednesday's, was left unresolved, not broken. But bending under the weight of what's to come, then there's Bianca, who emerged as one of the season's most complex figures. Her arc revealed new depths, particularly through her family's shadowy influence and her quiet struggle for independence. She played a key role in the finale's victory, using her intelligence and strategy to shift the balance in their favor. But unlike the others, Bianca didn't walk away. Conflicted, she walked away calculating. It's clear that she knows more about Wednesday's future than she lets on. Her smirk in the final scenes wasn't relief, it was recognition. Bianca's arc was left wide open, hinting that she could either become Wednesday's fiercest ally or her most dangerous rival, and of course Morticia's presence loomed over everything. Though not always on screen, her words and influence shaped Wednesday's choices throughout the season. In the finale, those words took on new meaning. What once sounded like guidance now feels like prophecy. Morticia's arc is one of mystery, with just enough revealed to spark endless speculation. Did she knowingly set her daughter on this path, or is she hiding secrets too heavy to reveal? Her story remains unresolved, dangling like a dark thread that could unravel everything in Season 3. Even the secondary characters had arcs worth noting. We saw the community of Nevermore fractured and rebuilt, with students questioning the school's future. Some chose loyalty, others fear, and a few even hinted at betrayal yet to come. These smaller arcs weren't filler, they were mirrors, showing how every character, big or small, was changed by the shadow that hung over Nevermore. In the end, Part 2's finale didn't tie up character arcs with a bow, it tore them open. Wednesday is left questioning herself. Enid is left questioning her loyalty. Xavier is left questioning his future. Bianca is left plotting in the shadows, and Morticia? She's left haunting the story, her true intentions locked behind her enigmatic smile. This decision to leave arcs unresolved is what makes the season so powerful. It reflects the truth of Wednesday's world mysteries don't end, they evolve. Characters don't heal completely, they carry their scars into the next battle. That's why the Part 2 ending lingers with fans long after the credits rolled. It wasn't just about who survived, it was about who they had become and who they might still turn into. Every character walked away changed, and every one of them still has unfinished business.